Multi-exclusive dimensional being card with another exclusive. Today's video is going to be about how to overcome your fears. Because what is our fears? Now, when we talking about fears, this is something internally. And words, the way words are used, it can be used against us or it can be as our wills, which can be our things that we create as creations, and we will not let these things overtake us, because fears is something basically is an illusion, false evidence appearing real. Because at the end of the day, the flesh you in, it's all this stuff is what you create. For me, and like the fact that people, places, and things, they forget what we are when we come down to existence and play out these mechanisms. These can basically play out in huge aspects in our life too. Also, fear can basically, we have high fears and we got low fears too. Because at the end of the day, fear is basically something that we experience. It's something that our spirit either gonna experience internally or externally. And the thing is, these things come along as we go, and these are just nothing but experiences. But it's very important to basically always overcome something that you feel the need that is hidden. Because at the end of the day, even when we tie this back to astrology, which is your North Node, which is basically your spiritual head, which is like your experiences that you got to go through in order for you to basically transform and get to the next life. Because that's another thing too, because a lot of people, they die from fears too. They go to sleep with a whole lot of stuff on their mind. They experience sleep paralysis. Some people wake up, they see themselves. Some people go through circumstances, situations, and this basically not for everybody, but as far as people, places, and things, what they experience, as far as what kind of drought or emotional circumstances that they go through, which can basically play out in the daily life. For me, this can also play through nightmares too, because the heavier the fear, the more experiences that you're basically gonna create. Because at the end of the day, your thoughts ain't yours, your feelings and emotions ain't yours. These are what you're swimming in. Because at the end of the day, you're an ancestor when you leave this presence, depending on how much influences that you're putting into, whether it's good or bad. Also, another thing is, you had people here before you. So, of course, what kind of state of being and presence and awareness that they was experiencing, it can basically attach to you in this lifetime. Because at the end of the day, when you come out your mother womb, you're fighting her demons at the end of the day, because you was inside of her. So once you go within, inside, internally, from basically what's in her stomach, as far as the flesh, and as far as basically your inner world, which is basically what you're experiencing and basically going through, as far as being in her belly for 9 months. That's why we got 9 numbers, which is Jupiter, expansion and growth. Feel me? So basically, that's what we're going through as far as that. And of course, whatever was on your mother's mind or your father's mind is basically what's going to be the reality that comes into existence with you too. Also, you could basically be from another lifetime too. And remember, you're just a spirit in the body. So you have many experiences, millions and billions and trillions of experiences, whether it was on this planet or another plane. Because remember, what you're doing now is what you was doing in your past life. So when you carry that on to a new life, or basically play out these attributes and mechanisms, it's basically you're carrying over. It's like you're the carrier of this shit. You're the guard of your own reality. You create what you want to basically bring to existence. So remember, the imagination, the mind is very powerful too. These are two different things, because basically you got pictures, you got ideas, you got concepts, you got thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And basically these things are being expressed on a day-to-day basis, whether you're paying attention to it or not. But the heavier the weight is, the heavier the thoughts are, the heavier the feelings and emotions are, it gets brought down to existence. So whatever's on your mind throughout the day-to-day premises, that's how it play out. Depending on how many blockages your parents or your people, places, and things in your life, or whoever you was raised by, or what kind of spirituality or religion you're into, or you just basically might just drain yourself too. And this also play out the fears that you basically didn't clean up. Because the thing is, if you don't take care of what you're doing now, it's going to carry on to the next life, which basically going to follow you. That's like karma. Basically, that's what it is. Because if you basically fear something and you don't overcome it, because the thing is, it's going to be difficult to not see these things behind the scenes. And you also got to question, who the fuck is this? What feeling and emotion is this? What person, place, or thing is experiencing or basically bringing this towards my mechanism? Because the moment you agree to the terms and conditions, you signed the contract. You agreed to allowing this thought, feeling, and emotion or idea come into existence. Whether it's, you can tie this back to Adam and Eve. They had fears basically because Adam, what did he do? He bit the fruit. He bit into the apple, which is basically the feelings and emotions. He dived in. He went within. Feel me? He started picking up mechanism, feelings and emotions. And of course, they guard, which that figure, which is, you know, whatever you want to call it, they said, oh, by the way, because it ain't my God. I tell you that shit. I don't know whoever prays or worship that God. At the end of the day, that's another witchcraft that was practiced on your mind. Because at the end of the day, if you believe in that whole concept of agreeing or basically giving your power to something outside of you that you've never seen or basically experienced in your inner world, which is the real world, which basically create and basically brought this yang into existence. If you just giving your power to shit, you don't know what the fuck you're praising. That's another thing, because you're gonna fear. You're gonna put yourself in a circumstance situation where that deity or that representation, when it moves on, go to another lifetime, you're gonna basically have fears about it. Because another thing too, we in a new age now. We're not in the age of the belief, basically like religion or shit like that. We in the age of spirituality, because nobody's coming back to save your ass. You only gonna save yourself. When I see you, I only see you. Feel me? And whatever's going on inside of you is basically your temple. So whichever's on your mind as far as what you're basically pushing out, this is how we're gonna see you. And what you're pushing, what you're holding in, and what you're pushing out, we're gonna see it regardless whether you hide it or not. Some people is basically tapped into these things too. And of course, you gotta be very careful what you're paying attention to, because what you're paying attention to is what you're giving your time and attention to. Because remember, we got three powers, which is spirituality, soul, and basically we're dealing with the body. So when we tie this down, creativity, belief, and imagination. Imagination is basically you're basically coming up to the terms and conditions of agreeing to the terms and conditions of how you see things, which is your imagination, which is themes, memories, and basically images and shit. And of course, ideas and concepts that you can basically paint a narrative. Creativity is basically drawing out the art, which is the soul. And of course, belief is basically believing it, basically bringing it into existence, which is the belief. For people, places, and things, representations can see this belief too. Now, basically, when you put this out here, that's what you're creating. So you can't. There's another thing is you can't be believing into shit that others, people, places, and things present to you. Yeah, you can believe the whole concept of other ideas, other formulations is basically out there, other experiences and other people references and point of views is basically pushed out there. But you gotta agree to the terms and conditions of going behind the scenes and seeing it for yourself. You can't just agree to shit. Like, you gotta like question shit, and when you don't question things, you're not gonna get answers. If you don't look into things, you're not gonna get answers. If the portal ain't open for you to basically see for your perspective, you're not gonna get answers. Everybody is perceived differently. Everybody got their own way of understanding and understanding shit. Some people attach their I ams to basically being that thing. Some people attach their things to values, which is they value certain things, people, places, and things, representations. Some people just think differently and have ways of thinking and coming in with meanings and reasons. Some people just go with their feeling and emotion, their guts. Some people basically utilize willpower, act without thinking. Some people basically analyze the details first before they just agree to the terms and conditions. Some people balance out the information and basically try to put the puzzles together to see if it will fit. Some people just go within and figure out the answers for themselves. Some people just go through more experiences and want to experience more so they basically can get certain information out. Some people use other people, places, and things to get information out of them. Some people just know the shit behind the scenes, and some people just believe into everything that they see. So it's basically different when you are actually using this shit. So you gotta agree to the terms and conditions of, okay, I'm gonna just basically resonate it with my way of seeing it, and then I can come to agreeable terms and conditions of basically establishing that and pushing out to other people, places, and things, so we can basically see from a whole point of perspective. We don't have to basically go through any obstacles. We don't got to go through any debates, any arguments and shit. We just got our own vision, our own concept of seeing shit, so it's different. So of course, it goes deep. And of course, when we dealing with fear, which is false evidence appearing real, The only way you can overcome this shit is basically resistance. And of course, you have to resist. Feel me? That's the only way you can do it. You got to believe in yourself. You got to be strong. You got to be passionate. You got to trust the process. Feel me? Some people, they afraid. They got fears of basically getting out of their comfort zone because whatever they was taught in the beginning as far as when they was childs, or they allow these things to basically put firmaments and blockages on them. And basically when they go out their comfort zone, they get worried and scared about other people, places and things say or basically think. And when you allow that shit, you're already fucking up. You're already practicing witchcraft on yourself because you're putting more blockages and more weight on yourself because basically you already got the fears within you. So basically if you're not replenishing this or cleansing this out or just detoxing that out your body, it's going to just look like it's an illusion. It's going to basically get more frustrating for you too, to the point you're going to realize at the end of the day, you got to get out this circumstance situation. You came in this world alone. You're going to leave it alone. You got your own mind. You got your own way of seeing shit. Feel me? You got your own vessel. You created this shit. Your spirit knew what it was doing when it created you. The whole thing is basically you just got to go within and get the answers. All the answers is basically within us. Feel me? Looking outside for expectations, representations, or answers, and basically seeing psychiatrists and all this other shit, they're not going to help you. Feel me? This is your shit. This is your world. Nobody else is in your temple but you. Feel me? You got your own demons. You got your own demons that you got to basically push out and fight out. Feel me? Not everybody have the same concept or the same way of going about things, but at the end of the day, whichever benefits you or helps you, you can always go with that mechanism. And basically, we just here to experience them. We just here to try things that's going to basically best work out for us. And when shit don't work out for us, then we got to come up with a whole nother membrane of how we going to see it work out in our best. So, of course, the only way to basically find out what's worked best with us is basically going within us. Just, feel me? All the answers within, feel me? Your inner world is within you, feel me? Seeing with your two eyes, that's what you're seeing externally, feel me? But fear is an inner thing. So you got to have inner strength. You got to have spiritual strength. You got to have a strong soul, a strong body, a strong vessel. You got to overcome these things. You got to have balance in all three. Feel me? You got to learn how to separate the three. Feel me? And your mind is going to get you out of that circumstance situation. Feel me? The mind, when you learn how to psych your mind up and control your own mind and not allow something outside of you to control your mind, then I guarantee you're going to basically get into that mechanism. Feel me? Because the thing is, fear is basically somebody else's imagination, somebody else's concept. And a lot of people got caught up into that illusion. So, of course, whoever's still here on this planet, or basically other beings that try to come down here and take the shape and form and try to scare people, whoever's is basically swimming into that mechanism, that's what they're receiving. And that's what they're going to basically put on their mind, body, and soul. And if they don't get out of that circumstance situation or that membrane, then what they're going to do is basically pass it down through generational curses to the point their kid's going to be experiencing this in some way, shape, or form. It might be heavy, it might be low. Feel me? Or you may just come up with the concept of your kid may not be into the shit that you went to. And you might feel the need to basically throw that burden onto them. So that's another thing that you got to watch for too. Because, feel me? That's doing harm more than good. So you got to be very careful. So it's basically what you need to focus on. You just got to look yourself in the mirror. You got to talk to yourself. You got to go outside. You got to psych yourself up. For me, you got to you got to see things. You got to experience these things. You got to put these things into work. You got to write it on paper. You got to believe in yourself. You got to express yourself. You got to basically be consistent. You got to be doing this shit every day. You can't take no days off, feel me? Because once you start, you got to finish it. You can't start something and not finish it. You got to basically be on it, especially if you want it, especially if you want to see it come down to existence, especially if you want to see it come down to your representations, especially if you want to express these things and you want to see this outlook and you want to see this shit grow. You got to water the seed. You got to basically plant the seed and basically water that shit. I mean, don't overburden yourself. Don't overthink with it, but learn how to basically be harmonious with it. Start small. Then we start medium, then we go all out, basically. And of course, you gotta always go all out, but you gotta start somewhere. And where you start is where you gonna get to the middle of it. And you're gonna basically go through the experience that promise you that's gonna get you to point A to point B to point C in life. So when you just stay focused and aim for that goal and just stay steady, stay steady, stay steady, stay steady. And I guarantee you're gonna basically overcome all your fears. You also can write it down on paper too, but always make sure that when you overcoming your fears, you got to go within first. You got to clear all that shit out of you, clear all that clutter, clear all them dark spirits, all those dark souls, whatever, however y'all talk. Clear that shit out of you. Then we're going to start on overcoming our fears. And the more energy and time you put into it, the more you're going to manifest it. Real shit.